When teachers engage in intentional and ambitious efforts to build vocabulary and content knowledge, they support students' literacy learning. In this classroom, children have been learning about light and shadow through books and explorations for several weeks. In today's follow-up discussion, the goals are to encourage talk among children and for children to review and use new vocabulary in a meaningful context.
You will see the students using words like shadow and opaque and light source and path of light. I'll often have the students repeat the word to me, and then we talk about the meaning of it so that they understand those words and can use them through a discussion practice.
Today, what we're going to do is we're going to have a discussion about our observations. Can you say the word observation with me? Observation. And if you look up here, we have the word, these are our science words. Here's the word observation. Things that we notice through doing a science investigation, things that we notice are our observations.
So the word wall in our classroom, we have a basic word wall and we also have a science word wall. So those scientific words are on there so they can use that as a resource. And also during lessons, I'll often point to the word wall, and so then it becomes more natural for them. And so that resource is always there. And it's something that they can access and use throughout their learning. And hopefully those words then become natural in their vocabulary.
So scientists, turn and talk with your team about your observations and the data that you collected from your investigation. Ready, go.
An opaque thing, is something that can go through. If my hand was glass and it's see-through, could the light source go through or around? It could shine right at there and it could reflect. So, then if the glass is opaque, it can't shine through.
They're learning these new vocabulary words through practice, and then the goal is for them to be able to discuss them in small groups and with each other through a whole group discussion. Since they're really truly understanding the meaning of them, the more practice that they're seeing it, hearing it, and understanding those words, they can foster discussions with each other. They're able to add to conversations, and that they're forming real conclusions using their data and their practice that they've had.
The light source, the flashlight, it has to be straight, not wobbly and all corrected. It has to be straight to make the shadow.
Okay, can you explain that to me? So you have two things going on. Could you use this piece of string to show me what you mean with the light source coming off and the path of light that's coming from the light source? Could you use that? What if I hold the light source? Could you show me how the path of light would go? So in a straight line. And then what did it do when you hit the object?
It made a shadow.
It made a shadow. I noticed that when you were doing your investigation, some of you had a light source really close to the object, and others pulled the light source away from the object. Did you notice anything happening? Axel, what did your group notice?
That it was making big shadows and little shadows. When you move it far, it was little shadow, and when you close it, it was big shadow.
Oh. So, if we were to do an investigation with shadows, and we went outside and it was a sunny day, what do you predict we might see? Madison?
Our shadow.
Why?
Because it's a light source, and light source, when it's like a light source and you're an opaque object, it can always make you a shadow.
So you're going to see your own shadow?
Yeah.
What would be the light source, though, if we were outside?
The sunshine.
Natural or man-made?
Natural.
I think it's refreshing that we can incorporate vocabulary practice embedded within their learning, so it's not something separate from, because I also think that's not as meaningful to them, and they're not going to learn from that. They're just going to forget it by the end of the day. The goal through this type of practice is that the students are using the vocabulary in meaningful ways. So I believe that incorporating everything within, especially within our science curriculum, is an amazing thing for our kids.
Now, though, how would I change my thinking? If I wanted to explain the idea of a shadow to a third grader maybe?
That some things are an opaque kind of thing, and then usually your shadow goes around you, and if the light is behind you, it'll go in front of you, and if it's in front of you, it'll go behind you.
I think that would really help them to understand that as long as there's a light source, you will have a shadow. I like that you took it one step further, Maya, and you explained how the light will affect where their shadow appears, like we just had happen in our classroom. Gibson, do you want to add a thought to that?
Your shadow is just where your opaque object, the light can't go through you, it goes around you, and if the light source is in front of you, it's behind, the shadow's behind, and if it's in front of you, it's in the back of you, it's in the front.
How else could you explain it to them like a scientist talking to a kindergartner? Noah, what might you say?
Don't be afraid. Your shadow is just like you. It does what you do. If you eat a turkey sandwich, then your shadow will eat a turkey sandwich.
Emmett, what might you add?
Your shadow is from a light source, and it follows you wherever you go, and it does what you do, and so you cannot escape from your shadow, only when it's dark.
It's truly fascinating, and some days it's just like you sit back and you're just, wow, you are all so capable of doing amazing things. And if we continue to set the bar high for our students and continue to allow them to grow through this, the sky's the limit.
Learn more at literacyessentials.org.